Hello and welcome to a new chapter of UAS3 and SDT340 training. In this chapter we will talk about a new feature in UAS3, Interval Compliance Indicator, or ICI. Interval is a very important part of our settings in every condition monitoring practice. So interval should come as a result of a failure mode effect analysis and deep understanding of the failure. So we are trying to collect data at a certain time, so we will be able to detect an onset of the failure. So as early as possible, but again, not too early, because it will then cause a lot of resources to be engaged in data collection. So interval comes from understanding the failure. What is the progression of the failure? Of course, we want to be able to catch the failure before it stops our operation. So very often we see that interval is set up based on feelings, based on, I think that's the number. It's not necessarily true. Poorly set interval can result in several bad outcomes. First of the outcome is if we set interval too often, then we will engage far too much resources, human resources and time, than actually it's needed. If the interval is set too long, that means that we can easily come in a situation that we collect the data and the failure has already progressed too far. So obviously it's quite important to respect the properly set interval. So even if the interval is set properly, that does not necessarily mean that the team will be able or will collect the data based on that interval. It can be too late, it can be too early, and sometimes they can even miss the measurement completely. So as an example, if I set my interval to 1 month, I expect to have 12 data collections per year. So if I'm late in first month, 2 weeks, and then next month I set 1 month after these 2 weeks being late, then I'm again late 1 week, and then somebody goes to vacation, somebody's on a sick leave or whatever may happen in any condition monitoring team, I can end up with 8 or 9 data readings in a year. And that may easily result in a failure progressing far away from the early stage and putting our process in jeopardy. So it's quite important to be able to control and evaluate the compliance with this interval. And that is the job of the ICI, the new feature in UAS3, that will compare the scheduled data collection time with actual data collection time. This indicator is important for several things. Because if we are complied with interval that we set, that means that our data is more or less valid, at least from that perspective. So with the valid data, we can do a lot of things. First of all is to set up the alarm properly. Of course, we know that alarm is highly important in condition monitoring. Second reason is that one of the important KPIs is task execution. So the KPI for condition monitoring team can be, among others, that how complied is condition monitoring team with set interval. Is every task executed properly and timely? So this indicator will also be quite important for the future features that will be implemented in UAS3. So to be able to use them in the future, it's quite important to start using interval compliance indicator as soon as possible to collect this credit, to collect the good data that will allow you to use certain help with alarms. So interval compliance indicator is not mandatory. So you as a user can choose whether you want to use it or not. My advice would be certainly to use it, but it's up to you to decide how do you want to do it. The interval compliance indicator will evaluate compliance in 4 categories: excellent, good, barely acceptable, and not acceptable. Excellent is, of course, when everything is exactly on time or 1-2 days plus or minus, depending on the interval. Good is Okay, acceptable. It's not a problem. It could be better. Barely acceptable is the borderline. that means that if we continue being late with every measurement that needs to be taken, it will drop down in a lower category, which is not acceptable. Not acceptable means that the data is collected more or less in a random manner, that the team does not respect the set interval, and of course we cannot consider this data valid and trustable for setting up the alarm. You can see that example quite easily in lubrication. If we visit the bearing, the lubrication point every 2, 3, 5, 10 days, not much will happen, not much difference, and data will still be in our trend. But then we can simply not visit it for 6 months and then take the measurement, which will be probably very high, and comparing all this data, which was taken in a very random manner and random interval, it's not going to lead us to a good position to set up the alarms properly. So let's see how it's done. Here is a small database I prepared for the simplicity and in order to be as fast with the data collection. I have process 1, I have fan group. Within the fan group I have 2 fans, extraction fan 1 and extraction fan 2, and I set only motors for this purpose, just to be fast. And of course I set the work order where I sent these 4 positions to be measured in one work order. Now I can select to activate ICI on extraction fan 1. So you right click on extraction fan 1, interval compliance indicator, select this, and then you can activate, or if it's activated you can deactivate. Before that, just to mention that you can activate interval compliance indicator on the entire process, and it will apply on all nodes, sub-nodes, and the measurement points, or you can simply choose just one component. If that works well for you, this is also the way to do it. So in my case, I will activate it on extraction fan 1. So I will simply click activate interval compliance indicator. Yes, I'm sure. I'll just remove the picture. And what I see now when I go to the measurement level, sensor level, you can see that interval compliance indicator is activated. It's activated on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Just to mention before we continue, I have a small gadget here, thanks to our developers, that allow me to, this will sound funny, to travel in time. So I can change the time of the software, otherwise it will take a couple of months to record this tutorial. So April 3rd, 2025, the compliance indicator has been activated. Of course, nothing bad will happen now. There is no still calculation, because ICI will take in consideration only future measurements, not retroactively. Because in retroactively you might have been changing your interval, so there is no way to calculate it properly and to be sure about the result. As you can see, I have certain measurements here, November, December, January, February, March, some relatively regular, plus or minus a couple of days, so that's certainly not a problem. On this other asset, on the other extraction fan, I did not activate ICI, and as you can see, there is no gadget, so you can easily see the difference between two. Now let's activate it on this one as well, so we can show what happens in different cases. Now I have a work order, and I will transfer this work order to the device. Wait a minute, I will first, just a second, I will first change the date. So today, at the moment of the time in the software, we collected the data 6th of March 2025. Now we are 3rd April 2025. So if I move the day forward, now it's 4th. Let's move one more. 5th. Still okay. I don't have any scheduled measurements right now. So what you can see now is, I will just move a little bit further. You have a small message down here that says 4 measurements scheduled for today. If I move one day further, it says I have 4 missed measurements, and there is a small calendar icon. This calendar icon will be here independently of ICI being activated or not. So it will tell you, if you hover your mouse over it, it will tell you that interval is 1 month and overdue is 1 day. So this measurement should have been taken yesterday. Okay, now we have this done, and let's transfer the data into the device. So I will upload from PC to 340. We'll just wait a little bit until it's done. And here we are. The data is transferred. We'll collect the data now. There's going to be 4 measurements. So I'll just mimic the signal just by rubbing the sensor on a table. It's going to be first one. Never forget to set up the amplification properly. Place your sensor in the proper position. This one is in alarm, which is okay. This is going to be a topic of our next chapter. So here's the second one. In alarm as well. And here is the last one. Okay, data is collected. We are back in the office, and we will download the data from SDT340 to UAS3. So remember, we activated ICI on all 4 points, and data is here. As you can see, some of the data is in the alarm, some is not. But the interval compliance indicator started calculating. So right now our status is, as you can see here in explanation, excellent, and it will always remind you when it was activated. It was activated on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. So it will be excellent on all 4 points because we are collecting data timely. So everything is perfect. So now I will move the time to you can see it on my screen. I can move the time to May 7th. Okay, and I will refresh. So I'm okay. The time is very close to collect the data. So I will now move day by day. And on this day, the message on to-do list tells me, I can open so you can see it. It says you have 4 missed measurements, and the small icon is here. So I can transfer it to the work order, not necessarily now because I already have a work order. But let's move several days further and see what happens. So now I'm 2 days overdue, And you can see the interval compliance indicator is not 100% anymore. Same on all other points. Good. Let's move one day more. So with each following day, the interval compliance indicator will show that I less and less comply with a set interval. The same on all points. So the time has come. Let's upload the data and let's go collect the data. And after that, we will see what happens with ICI. Okay, just a couple of minutes to collect the data. Okay, and now we'll activate the screen so you can see it again. Good. So back to my work order. But now, just to be able to show you what happens in different scenarios, I will collect the data only on first 2 points. I will not collect the data on the last 2 points, on extraction fan number 2. So I'm collecting the data on the first one. Okay, data is collected. And I will collect data on the second position. Okay, for whatever reason, data is not collected on the second asset, and I will download the data from SDT340 to PC. And we will see what happens with the indicator at this point. Okay, just refresh. So as you can see here, it improved because I collected the data and I'm more or less back on track. What happened here is that it didn't improve because I didn't collect the data timely. But let's see what happens if we do not collect the data and time passes. So as you can see, I'm more and more late here because data was not collected. Here on this position, I'm still on the same point because the next scheduled measurement is in 1 month. I collected the data 11th of May. Here, the last collected data is 7th of April. And I'm late and I'm getting more and more late, of course. So the percentage of compliance is dropping down. As you can see now, status is barely acceptable. So I'm not executing my tasks the way they should be executed. Some of them they are properly executed. And now we can move the time to 5th of June. Okay, so indicator on this point is still okay because I still have a couple of days to take the measurement, but the indicator on this point is in a very bad position. Simply because I'm now late quite a lot. As you can see here, I'm late 29 days. So what happens if I continue not taking the measurement? So I'm late even more, the percentage drops. I move another day. And what happens here is that I was late for more than 1 full interval. So I was supposed to take the data a month ago. Interval is 1 month. I'm late 1 month. Now that is not considered being late anymore. This is considered as completely missed. Because the next measurement is already scheduled. Now it doesn't make sense to say, oh, let me today take the measurement, or in the morning take the measurement from last month, so I'm not late anymore, and then take another one which was scheduled today anyway. That doesn't really make any sense. So we missed the measurement was not taken, and this measurement is now filled, the measurement field here is filled with data not collected status. So you can see in all previous measurements we have values and all the necessary data, but here everything is just written data not collected. So on 7th of May, it was scheduled for 7th of May, today we are June, but it was not collected. But that still means I have to collect the data which is collected for June. As you can see here, I'm just a little bit late. One day, basically, I'm still in. So let's move a little bit further with time. Okay, the time goes by. Now I'm moving to 9th of June. And what I can see here, it's very important also to mention that the moment this status is assigned to this measurement point, the data was not collected, that something happens in my trend as well. The trend has a hole. So here is the message, data not collected. Now, what happens quite often is that this dot and the next dot after I'm 2 or 3 months late are connected. So it looks like everything is in continuation, while in reality is not. So for everyone who is looking at a trend and trying to understand it properly, this will be a great help, because we know that between this measurement and that measurement, it's a hole. We don't have the data. We don't have a knowledge what was the situation at that time. So it will simply stay a hole. It will not connect with the next measurement. So move one day further. Okay, another day further. So compliance is dropping down on this point. Another day further. Okay, now I have to collect this data. I'm already 1 day overdue. Nothing bad happens with the ICI. Everything is more or less fine. And now I will upload the data to, to my SDT340. Okay. Okay, let's activate the screen again so you can see it. Good. Now I will collect all 4 measurements. So that's the first one. So remember, on extraction fan 2, we simply missed the measurement completely. We missed it for the full interval, and it's considered that it's not collected, and it's history. We cannot change that anymore. Now we are collecting the data that was scheduled for this month. Okay, now I'm collecting the data. Okay. So we collected all the data. Go back to the office, download from 340 to PC. And now let's see what happens with ICI. Okay. So as you can see here, it's improving because I am in time. I'm 1 day late, 2 days late. That's really not a big deal. Here it improved because now I'm back in collecting the data relatively regular. But this is the fact. You can see this field data not collected. This is the fact that this data was simply not collected. It was not being laid, it's not collected. And here in a trend, you can see the hole in a trend, and now trend will continue here. And you will always have this reminder that you actually missed one measurement. So you should be careful how you look at the data before that and after that. Does it make a full sense? So this is the place where I'm doing a good job. There's one option that you can always use. If it's activated, you still don't need to see it. So you can hide it, or you can show the interval compliance indicator. It would be a good idea to always keep it here, because it reminds you on how good you are doing your job, or it tells you that you need to definitely improve, as you can see in this case. So interval compliance indicator will give you a lot of information. In this case, status is not acceptable, so I can say that I'm not in a good position to consider this data valid and relevant and try to set up the alarm based on this data. In this case, I can say that at least I am collecting the data timely, so data is representing the change in condition every month. Now, another feature that you might find very useful, and it's definitely important to know, if this asset fails or anything happens, it will change a status that we mentioned in the last chapter, and it will be sent to workshop. So it failed, we dismounted it, we sent to workshop for a full overhaul, so I will send it to workshop. What happened after sending to workshop is that now, of course, all the data follows the asset, all the data, all the history is here, but interval compliance indicator is reset. Of course, because the machine is in a workshop, we cannot continue our condition monitoring on machine which is not in operation. And also, we need to assume or be pretty sure that after repair, it will be completely different. So we will start like a new chapter, and we will perform our first measurement as an acceptance testing, and then continue. Of course, when you send it back to operation, you can activate interval compliance indicator again. But every time it's placed in a workshop, the ICI is reset, and everything that was connected with ICI is gone. So many people say, okay, I'm in trouble, I didn't collect my data properly, I will just send it to workshop and send it back, and all the problems are gone. Yes, but you still don't have a set of data that is valid for discussing alarms and everything else, because it's resetted, it's back to beginning. When I send this asset back to operation, and I will do it in its original position, you can see here that on that day, you can see that asset is back to operation. So it's in the bottom pan, and it's also in the trend. It says the asset is back in operation. So we assume with the first measurement that we will see some other data, better data, hopefully it was repaired. But then you can still compare what happened in the history and what was the effect after repairing. So I definitely suggest to use this feature. This feature can help the person who is running condition monitoring team to evaluate the task execution. It will give you a huge benefit once you have automatic alarms in your software, because this data will be considered for the alarm, and on this data the answer will be no. Even if you calculate alarms yourself, please be careful if the data is collected in a random manner, because that data does not necessarily represent what actually happens with the asset. So I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I hope it was useful, and I hope you will soon start using this feature. Thank you.